Hi everybody, I'm Bill Sanders and this is Watch Art Sci, the art and science of watch collection. Today we're going to take a look at Jim's young collection. I call it a young collection because it was started about 3 years ago. Jim started collecting watches and he decided to have one a year. And so let's take a look at it. There's some very interesting watches in the collection that he's got here. Now, the first one is a gold quartz watch, a Concorde Saratoga. And this was an engagement gift, and he wore it for 20 years. And this is, I had a similar experience about 30 years ago. A really good friend of mine gave me a quartz Rado, and I wore it for about 10 years before I ended up getting a mechanical watch. So yeah, that can happen. People can have watches for a really long time before they become collectors because they start thinking about it, and then oftentimes that'll be a quartz watch, especially these days. All right, so about 3 years ago, roughly 3 years ago, Jim decided, well, he's going to get some serious watches. And decided, well, I was going to find something in Holy Trinity. And what he found was a beautiful watch, an Audemars Piguet, Jules Audemars. And it's a gold watch with a time in small seconds. And in the back, it's got an exhibition window. And one of the things he said, he really enjoys looking at his watch through the exhibition window. And the thing I like about this particular Audemars Piguet is that while the Royal Oak is a really popular watch, I mean, it's like the reason I think we have Audemars Piguet, is that the other watches don't get a lot of attention. And the Jules Audemars watches have some really nice watches that, you know, if you're thinking of a dress watch. Now, this is what Jim wanted. He wanted a dress watch, but he wanted one he'd wear to work every day. And this filled the bill. A gorgeous looking watch, and it's a great watch for collectors. All right, now this next watch, he decided, well, he wanted something with a little more action to it. And he got this Zenith Chronomaster with El Primero movement in it. And boy, I tell you, there's a lot going on with this watch. Besides having a chronograph, it also has the day, the date, and then the month. And so you have 3 date indicators, including that big date window at 4 o'clock, which I happen to like. Not everybody likes those. Believe me, they don't, but I do. It's got a moon phase. I mean, this has got a lot going for it. Now, it has sort of, it's like a dress sports watch. It's sort of a combination of the two. It's which is a very interesting watch. And on the back you can see the El Primero movement. Jim told me that the bracelet got in the way a little, and that's what's you know, that can be hard to photograph a watch the way you want to. But you can see it, you get a really good idea of that, and you can see the perlage through the glass there in the back. Beautiful watch, great choice, I think, for having sort of a sports dress watch that you could take to work every day. All right, now the next watch was one that combined high horology and a lot of stuff going on, some really interesting stuff. This is one of the Jaeger-LeCoultre Master Control. There are a lot of versions of Master Control, and this one is very interesting. It has a power reserve indicator. It's got what's called a hunter case. The hunter case has a little thing that opens, and it has the crown at the side. Other hunter cases, not hunter, but the other types of cases have the flap that opens up. The hunter case opens to the side. And this is a cool watch. You want to take a look at the movement, and while it has a power reserve indicator, it is an automatic. And I, you know, for a while I thought, oh, you know, what would you really need a power reserve indicator for if you have an automatic? they're really handy. It doesn't matter if you have a manual wind or what you have. This is a 7-day watch, and it's a wind up, and so the power reserve indicator is crucial. But on automatic, sometimes you don't remember, how often you've been wearing it. You're not quite sure how wound up it is, and so it's good to have. At 6 o'clock, you can see down there is sort of a big window for a second time zone. It's almost a travel time. Not quite. You got Cairo, London, Paris, Moscow, and Dubai. You can see that through the window at 6 o'clock, and you can adjust it with the 10 o'clock crown to different dates. So this has got a lot going for it. Another thing I really like, there's a small dial at 2 o'clock, and that has 31 days. That's your date dial, I guess you'd call it. In the back with a gold, beautiful watch, beautiful, beautiful watch. I love this watch, Jaeger-LeCoultre, one of my favorite brands. All right, the final watch that Jim got or not the final one, the most recent one. None of us get final watches, it seems, is a Breguet Marine. And this was another sports watch that you could wear with a suit. Now, it really takes a lot for a sports watch with a rubber band to work with a suit, but this one works, and I can see why. It's just a super cool. I mean, the looks of this watch I just love. One of the things, there's sort of that swirl on the front, and then if you look at the rotor in the back, you have this big gold rotor with the same swirl there. It goes all the way through. The great big, you also have a big date window at 6 o'clock. I like, if you're going to have a date on a watch, you should be able to see it. By the way, this is the remnants of a rub-on tattoo that I had that Moritz Grossman had been giving away. I finally put it on. It's coming off now. All right, so here you have this really interesting collection. And it's a small one. It's, like I said, it's a young collection. And where would you go from here? One place you can go is something like this Beauvais. It's very different from everything else you have. It's basically goes back to a time when the pocket watch was being replaced by the wristwatch, and some of the early ones were sort of pocket watches on with straps on them. It's an interesting watch, 7 days. Now, that's one of the things you don't have, and so this is a 7-day watch. Another way you can go is into some exceptional horology. I don't know if you'd want to do this or not, but it's an idea. You could take a look. Now, this is an FP Journe, and it's not as fancy, but it's got a lot of entertainment in the back. It has a gold plates and bridges in the movement. It's a wind-up watch, and so that's another direction. H. Moser would be another one for if you want to move up to a really high level. You can still wear these every day, and that's one of the things I noticed. A lot of the watches that Jim has, they look scratched, which is great. I was looking at my this is the my Vacheron Constantin 1921. I was looking at it, it's scratched. Oh, it's scratched. Well, yeah, because I wear it. That's why it gets scratched, especially with gold. Gold scratches pretty easily. All right, those are some ideas. I'd love to hear what some ideas that you might have, and just take a look at the sort of the gestalt of the entire collection, and where might be another direction that Jim might want to consider. And of course, this is always an invitation to subscribe if you'd like. And so until next Friday, this is Bill Sanders with Watch Art Sci, the art and science of watch collection.